Thank you guys for coming in. Thank you all for coming in. Listen, I am Jennifer Yarbrough. I am your nonprofit expert, over 38 years of experience helping organizations put together plans, strategies, systems, and tools so that you have the information, that you have the knowledge, you have the understanding, you have the clarity of what it is to start a nonprofit business. Okay. I am recording right now for my YouTube channel. Thank you all for joining on YouTube. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for following. Hit the bell and make your comments known in the chat area. Again, my name is Jennifer. I am your nonprofit expert, and I want to talk to you all about starting your nonprofit. One of the things that I find is that most people don't understand that you're starting a business. I want you to put it in the chat: business, business. You are starting a business. There are two categories of business. There is for-profit, there is nonprofit, business, taxable, non-tax, business. So when you make the decision to start a nonprofit, you are starting a business. Put business in the chat. Put business in the chat, right? So when you are starting the business, you must know the reason that you're starting the business, okay? The reason. And this is where I find that a lot of nonprofit organizations are struggling financially, that you are possibly starting your nonprofit organization for the reason that is internal, right? What is the definition of reason? What is the definition of reason? The definition of reason is, what is the cause? What is the explanation? Or what is the justification? What is the justification of starting the business? Okay. Now, what is a business? A business is an entity that provides a product of value. That's the business. So, what is your product? What is the reason for your product? What is the reason for your product? Okay. The business has a product. Every business has a product of value. Okay. Your product as a nonprofit, as a tax exempt business, your product is your result. Put result in the chat. Put result in the chat, right? So the reason that you are starting a not for profit business is for result. Let me say that again. As a nonprofit business, we are in the business of result. That's our business. Our business is result. Our business is outcome. Our business is impact. We are in the business of result. Now, in the for-profit business model, your business may be consulting. Your business may be hairstyle. Your business may be a barber. Your business may be a coffee shop. Your business may be a restaurant. Your business may be whatever it is, right? But the business provides value to who? The customer. The reason that you are starting the business is to provide a quality product to the customer, right? That's the motivation of the business. The business starts because I want to create and I want to share a product of value to the customer. Now, in the for profit business, the product is of interest to the customer, right? The product is of interest to the customer. The customer wants the water bottle. The customer wants the hamburger. The customer wants the coffee. The customer wants the product. Are y'all following me? The customer wants the product. The business was created for the purpose, for the cause of providing a valuable product to the customer. Okay? The product is created of value to the customer. Now, this is where, in the nonprofit space, this is where I think, and the reason is we are not raising money, right? Every business needs revenue. Every business needs revenue. Why? Because the business has expenses. Because the business has expenses, right? So every business has expenses. Every business has to raise money to cover those expenses. Now, we're not talking about profit. We are talking about revenue money to cover the operations and the expenses so that we can operate. We're not talking about profit. There are two categories of business: for profit, not for profit. Two categories of business: for profit, not for profit. In the for profit business model, they are in the business for the profit. What is profit? Over and above what it costs to operate is profit. Over and above what it costs to operate is profit. In the not for profit business model, we're not in the business for the profit, right? We're not in the business for the profit. However, there is a cost to operate, right? In the for-profit business model, it may cost out of $1, 65 cents to operate. 35 cents is profit. 65 cents to operate. 35 cents is profit. What do they do with the profit? They take the profit and they distribute the profit between their partners and their shareholders. They are in the business for the profit. In the not-for-profit business model, we're not in the business for the profit. However, there is a cost to do the business. So of the dollar, 30 cents goes to operations, 70 cents goes to program. 30 cents goes to operations, 70 cents goes to program. That's the whole dollar, right? There's no profit in that. There's no profit in that. The whole dollar goes to operate business, operate program. There is no profit. We're not in it for the profit, okay? But there is a cost to do the work. Now, this is my theory. This is my theory. I want to thank you guys again for joining my YouTube channel. I want to thank you guys for following. I want to thank you all for subscribing. I am also going live on TikTok. I'm also going live on Clubhouse at the same time. All right. So those of you who are following me here on YouTube, thank you for your follows. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your engagement. I really appreciate it. For those of you who are on Clubhouse, for those of you who are on TikTok, thank you guys for tuning in while you listen to me record my YouTube. All right, here we go. One of the things that I'm convinced of is this. The reason that you started your nonprofit, the reason, again, what is the definition of reason? The cause, the explanation, the justification of starting the business, of starting the business. Did you hear what I said? Starting a business. Okay, you are starting a business. There are two categories of business: for profit, nonprofit. For profit, nonprofit. Okay, what is the definition of business? A business is an occupation, it is a profession, or it is a trade. A trade. Put trade in the chat. It's a trade. It's a trade, right? In the for-profit business, right? Get my handy dandy water bottle, right? In the for-profit business, there is a trade. The trade is, I, the customer, value this water bottle. The trade is, here is my money, and you give me the water bottle that I value, right? The customer values. There is an exchange. There is a trade. Put trade. There is an exchange. The customer wants and values what the business has. In the nonprofit space, what is your value? What is the trade? We are in the trade of result. Put result in the chat. Put result in the chat. Put result in the chat. We trade result, right? Our product, our value is solution, result, impact. That is our trade. We are in the business of result. We are in the business of outcome. We are in the business of impact. That's our business as a nonprofit business, as a community-based business. We are in the business of solution, resolution, meeting need. That's our trade. Now, let me say this. I am convinced that many people right now, many organizations are struggling with generating revenue. Why? You don't know your trade. You know why you started, right? Jen, I started my nonprofit because of what happened to me. Jen, I started my nonprofit because this is what I want to do. Jen, I want to do a sports program. Jen, I want to do a mentoring program. Jen, I want to help single moms. Jen, I want to do whatever. I want to have a transitional house. But it is very self-focused, not trade focused, not community focused, not for the reason that the community would benefit from it. It's very self-focused. Jen, I want to start. The reason that I started my nonprofit, Jen, is because I went through something and I want to make sure that nobody else goes through what I went through. Jen, I started my nonprofit because I want to help make sure this or that, right? It's very self-centered. But when a business creates a product, the product is to draw the interest of who? The customer. And I believe that this is why many of you are struggling with talking about, with clarifying, with communicating your value. You don't know your product. You started your nonprofit for the reason that is very self-centered, very self-focused, but we are in the business of community. Our business, unlike the for-profit business, right? The for-profit business is in the business for the profit. They're in the business for the profit. They are giving a product, right, to generate money for the profit. Now, nothing wrong with that. But when we decide, I want to start a nonprofit business, that means our product is not internally focused. Our product is externally focused. We're meeting need. We're solving problem. We're resolving issue. We're here for the result. We're here to give outcome. We are in the business that is outward focused. Now, listen to me. Because you did not start the business, and I stress business because there is two kinds of business. There is a for-profit, there is a nonprofit. Two categories of business: for-profit, nonprofit. Two categories of business: for-profit, nonprofit. Business. That means as a business, you have to know what is of value to the people who are not in the business. That's where your money comes from, right? The people who are in your program, the people that you want to serve, the people that you are connected to, the people that you are inspired by, the people that you want to help are not your donors, are not your funders, are not your contributors. Let me say that again. The people that you have opened your organization to help are not your donors, are not your supporters, right? So who are your donors, your funders, your supporters, your contributors? They are people outside in the community. Did you open the nonprofit? Was your reason for opening the nonprofit self-centered or community-centered? Is your reason for starting the nonprofit to meet a need? If it is, then what is the need that you're meeting? Why is that important? And what is the result of your business? If your business is to meet a need, not do the activity, because I'm convinced many of you all started your nonprofit for the reason of the activity. Jen, I want to mentor. Jen, I want to help single moms. Jen, I want to do a sports program. Jen, I want to do a transitional house. Jen, I want to help da-da-da-da-da. Nothing wrong with any of that. But if you can't tie that to a reason that the community feels is valuable, feels as is important, sees the need for, and the value of, Why would the community support it? That's why your mission is important, not the activities that you do. Not the activities that you do, not the activities that you do. Many of you started your nonprofit for the reason of doing the activities. Jen, I want to mentor activity. Jen, I want to help single moms activities. Jen, I want to provide a transitional house mentor activity. Jen, I want to feed the homeless activity. But what is the result? Your product, your value, your trade is not the activities. You are in the trade. You are in the occupation. You are in the profession of result. Result. Meeting a need in the community. Solving a problem in the community. Now, this is where I think it gets a little crazy in our minds. Because if you're clear about the result first, how about this? When you are starting your nonprofit, you want to know, what is your product? Your product as a nonprofit is result, not activity. Your product is result, not activity. Did you hear what I said? Your product is result, not activity. And many of you don't know the difference between activity and result, activity and impact. You think your activity is what's attractive. I want to feed activity. Jen, I want to mentor activity. Jen, I want to house activity. What is the result? Let me give you an example. Are y'all with me? Thank you guys for following me on YouTube. I appreciate you. Thank you for those of you that are listening in on TikTok, as well as over on the House Club. All right, here we go. What is your mission? The mission is where you start. The mission is where you start. Put mission, put mission, put mission, put mission in the chat. Your mission is where you start, not activity. And many of you started with activity, and now you're trying to figure out, how do I tell, how do I show, how do I share why what I do is important to who? The donors, the funders, the supporters, the contributors. And because you did not start with your product first, you started with your interest, your passion, your desire to do the activities first. Now you're having a problem talking to, communicate to, sharing, marketing, branding your product. What is your product? Mission accomplished. What is your product? Mission accomplished. What is your product? Need met. What is your product? Result. That's your product. But because you did, your reason for starting was not mission. The reason that you started was because of what you wanted to do. I wanted to feed. I want to clothe. I want to house. I want to help. I want to serve. I. Now you're funding it all by yourself. Why? Because you created it for you. You did not create it for your community, your donors, your funders, your partners, your contributors, your collaborators to be able to invest in your product. You didn't start with product in mind. You didn't start with result in mind. What is your product? Result. Put result in the chat. Listen to me. If y'all don't hear anything else I say, money is not your problem. Your product is. You don't know your product. You started this whole thing thinking, let me go down here and fill out this 1023 form. I'm going to fill out this 1023 form. I'm going to make up some mission, right? And I'm starting this nonprofit, right? Because I want a grant. Let me start this nonprofit so I can get a grant to do the activities, as opposed to, I need funding to get the result. The grant funder is looking for funding result. They're not funding activities. The result, they're not funding activities. I'm going to say it one more time for the people in the bushes. They fund result, not activities. Now, this is what it sounds like. Are y'all with me? Are y'all with me? Thank you all again for joining on my YouTube. I appreciate you. Thank you for those of you for subscribing. Thank you for those of you for liking. Thank you for those of you for commenting as well. All right, here we go. What is a mission? What is your mission? Your mission is your statement to who? The donors, the funders, the partners, the contributors of why your product is valuable. This is your marketing tool. We're not marketing passion. We're not marketing the activities that we do, right? No, we are marketing our product. What is your product? Result. You are in the business of result. You are in the trade of result. You are not in the trade of passion. You are not in the trade of an idea. No, you're in the trade of result. That's our business. As a community-based, tax-exempt business, our business is result. Our business is community improvement. We do the work that government cannot do. We do the work that for-profit businesses cannot do. Our unique business is an asset, is a benefit to the community, which is why we get the privileges that we have as a tax-exempt business. Why? Because our business benefits, improves, impacts the community. We do what government cannot do. We do what for-profit businesses cannot do, right? Now, what is a mission? The mission of your organization is the purpose or reason for your existence. Your mission statement should speak to why we exist. This is our product. This is why we exist. This is our trade. This is our business, right? It defines what the organization does, who it serves, and the impact, the result it will achieve. That's what your mission is. This is how I know that you all didn't start these nonprofits for the right reason. You all started it for the reason of I want to do this, Jen. I want to start this nonprofit because it's important to me. Jen, I want to start the nonprofit because whatever happened to me, I want to make sure it doesn't happen to anybody else. Jen, I have this personal interest. Jen, I like sports, and so I want to start nothing wrong with any of that. But is that enough to start a business? What is the trade out of that business? That when you start it from what you want and not what is of value to the people who are not in what we do. What is the value of what we do to the community? If you can't articulate that, that's why you're not raising any money, because you're not sharing your trade. You're not sharing your product. You're not sharing your value. Why? Because it's a very self-centered focus and not a community-centered focus. A nonprofit is not about your passion. It's not about your idea. It's not even about the funding. The money is not the problem. It's your value. It's your trade. It's your product. Now, this is what it sounds like. This is what it sounds like. I am reading from my nonprofit startup guide. For those of you who have gotten my nonprofit startup guide, I've heard from you and you guys are like, Jen, this right here is the business, okay? My nonprofit startup guide has everything you need to know about the business of the nonprofit. And many of you are starting or looking to start your nonprofit business without knowing the business. Y'all know what you want to do. Y'all know the activities of what you want to do, but that activity is what? An expense. That activity is what? An expense. I'm going to say it again for the people in the bushes. That activity, right? That mentoring, that feeding, that housing, that's activity. That means what? You've got to have the product to generate the revenue to continue to do that activity. What is the result of that activity? What's the result of that activity? That's where your value is, the result. The result of what you do is what supports, what substantiates, what proves that that activity is what matters. All right? For those of you who are interested in getting the guide, okay, you can get the guide by going to bit.ly nonprofit startup guide, bit.ly nonprofit startup guide. For those of you who are on the YouTube, it will be in your link. For those of you on the TikTokies, go to my profile and come down to the nonprofit startup bundle. Okay, start nonprofit startup bundle, and it is the first link. What do you get with the guide? You get me. Okay. Those of you who follow me on TikTok, on YouTube, you guys know I talk a lot about nonprofits, nonprofit startups, fundraising, grant writing, all the things nonprofits. Okay. You all have access to the information that explains the nonprofit process. There are a lot of people out here who will talk to you about how to start your nonprofit. But I think I'm the only one that talks about how do you run it? How do you fund it? How do you get donors? How do you get supporters? How do you grow financially so that you're able to sustain and maintain the work of the non-for-profit, right? So this is where we are. We are on page 9 of the nonprofit startup guide. Again, you can go to bit.ly nonprofit startup guide, nonprofit startup guide. For those of you who were on the TikTokies, the double T, you can go to my profile, go to nonprofit startup bundle, and it is the very first link. Okay. What do you get with this? You get the guide that has everything imaginable, everything you need to know about the nonprofit, everything from what is the definition of a nonprofit to why is the nonprofit important in our communities, to how to put together your mission statement, to what is a donor? How do you get a donor? How do you find donors? How do you identify your ideal donors? How do you get the first gift? And then how do you get the second gift? How do you find board members? How do you interview board members? What are the roles and responsibilities of board members? Everything you need to know. How to put together a fundraising plan. How to put together your marketing plan for your nonprofit. Right? How to get donor, how to put together your budget. How do you put together your financials? How do you manage cash flow? How do you do direct costs, indirect costs? All of those things are important for getting a grant. Okay. All of those things are important for raising money. It's 52 pages. In addition to that, you also get a 2-hour video on how do you start your nonprofit with the focus of product, of donations, of contributions, of raising the money. Now, let me say this. As a business, we need revenue to operate, right? We need revenue to operate. We're not talking about profit. In the for-profit business, there are expenses. You have operating expenses, right? You have accounting, you have marketing, you have branding. You have businesses, you have money, you need money to operate the business, right? You've got the cups, you've got the bags, you've got the registers, you've got the paper, you got the materials, you got the supplies, you got the staff. Those are operating expenses. That needs what? Money coming in to cover and pay for those expenses. That's revenue. That's cash flow. Put cash flow in the chat. You have ongoing expenses. You need what? Ongoing cash flow. Now, in the not-for-profit business, you also have expenses, right? You have that website. You have accounting. You have marketing. You have the email, right? The email server. You have materials. You have supplies. You have equipment. You have other things that are important to operate. Now, we're not even talking about program. In program, you have materials, you have supplies, you have equipment, you might have snacks, you may have transportation, you might have to pay the rent or the mortgage on whatever place it is. You've got all the utilities. All of those are expenses for the business to operate. So you have expenses. You need what? Cash flow. Every business needs cash. We're not talking about profit now. We're talking about money to operate. Are y'all picking up what I'm putting down? In the for-profit business, out of $1, 65 cents may be used to operate. 35 cents is profit. In the non-for-profit space, same dollar, 30 cents to operate. This is your accounting. This is your budgeting. This is your bookkeeping. This is your marketing. This is your website. This is your fundraising. This is your materials. This is your postage. This is your networking. This is your ability to go out in the community to generate money. You need revenue to do that, right? And then 70 cents goes to program. What are the expenses of program? Program expenses include materials, supplies, equipment, right? Staff, possibly a program coordinator, possibly space to do the program. So you need revenue coming in to offset the expenses, right? Where does money come from in any business? In any business, where does money come from? Outside the business. The customer comes into the business. Why? The customer wants the product. The customer comes into the business because the customer is aware of what your trade is, what your product is. The customer wants the product. That's in the for-profit model. In the nonprofit model, what is your product? Result. Put result in the chat. Your product is result. Who values the result of what you do? What is your result? Your result is meeting the need in the community. Your result is producing outcome in the community. Your result, your product, your value is you improve the community, right? That's your result. That's your product. That's your value. Now, who supports that? The donor, the funder, the contributor. Who's what? Outside the organization, outside the business. How do they know your product? That's where your marketing comes in. That's where your communication comes in. What are you marketing? Our result. What are you marketing? Why our result is important in changing and improving the community. Am I making sense? Many people think, I'm starting a nonprofit, Jen. I'm starting a nonprofit, Jen, but you forget you're starting a business. There are two categories of business, for-profit, nonprofit. Two categories of business, for-profit, nonprofit. Two categories of business, for-profit, nonprofit. Both business models have to have a product that is of value. And I, again, am convinced that you are not clear about your product. You're clear about your passion. You're clear about what you want to do. You're clear about what happened to you and why you started your nonprofit. But it wasn't from a product result driven reason. If it were, then why are we not raising money? If your nonprofit business was created for a result that we bring to the community, we come to the table with solution. We come to the table understanding the issues and the needs of the community. We come to the table being able to share and show why our organization is a solution. That's why we're a part of important conversations, because we are a solution. If you started because of the reason of result and not the reason of passion, not the reason of an idea, then you're able to share your product. What's your product? Result. Your donors, your funders, your supporters, your contributors, they support our business because what? They value our product. What's our product? Result. They value that we're meeting the need. They value that we're producing result and outcome. They value that we are providing impact and changing, improving the community. That's why they keep supporting. They're not supporting. They're not donating. They're not giving their money without a trade, without an exchange. Your passion, your idea, what you want to do, what's important to you. That's not what's going to motivate them to give. Am I making sense? Thank y'all for tuning in to my YouTube channel. Thank y'all for tuning in. I want you guys to know that as your nonprofit expert, over 38 years of experience, not just talking about this stuff, I teach this. I teach this in colleges. I teach this in business incubators. I've been in the nonprofit space for 38 years. I have raised more money. I've raised hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue for organizations that weren't even mine. Different causes, different audiences, different reasons, different missions, but the same product. We are in the business. We are in the trade. We are in the occupation of result. And for many of you that are struggling to raise money, it's because you don't know your product. You didn't start your nonprofit with result in mind. You started it because of passion. You started it because of what happened to you, your idea. Nothing wrong with that, but that's not a value to the people who are not in it. I want you to be able to articulate. I want you to be able to introduce. I want you to be able to show and share your value, your product, the reason that those that are not in what you do should care about what you do. Let me give you an example. All right. This is in my nonprofit startup guide. If you guys do not have my nonprofit startup guide, again, everything you need to know about the nonprofit business is in the guide. Not only do you get the guide, okay, it is a breakdown of everything you need to know about the nonprofit. Everything from even how, when you retire, who's going to take over this organization, how to find board members, how to interview board members, how the roles and responsibilities of board members, how to put together your fundraising plan, how to put together your budget, okay? How to put together your marketing, your branding, how to put together your social media to share what you do with your donors and your funders and your supporter. Everything that you need to know about the nonprofit business is in this guide. You also get a 2-hour and 17-minute video on how do you start. Starting your business is not going to the IRS. Going to the IRS, getting registered as a nonprofit. You get registered as a nonprofit and then you say, I'm stuck. Now I'm stuck, Jen. I got my nonprofit, but I don't know what to do next. Jen, I started my nonprofit. I got my paperwork, Jen. I got my board. I got my website, but I don't know what to do next. And in my mind, I'm thinking, how did we start a whole business and we don't know what to do next? And I thought, oh, it's because we started for the wrong reason. Any business that starts knows the product, knows how to market the product, knows how to share the value of the product. But because many of y'all didn't start this thing because of the product result, y'all started it because what you want to do. I want to feed, I want to clothe, I want to house, I want to start, I have an idea. And now that you got that piece of paper, I don't know what to do next. I don't know how to talk about it. I don't know how to share it. I don't know how to get people to understand the importance of my result. No, because you started it because of what you wanted to do. Now, I'm not disparaging anything. I'm just explaining. That's where your problem is. That's why you're not raising any money, because you're not sharing a product of value to the people who are not in it. That may be also why many of you are very sensitive. What if they don't like it? What if they reject? What if I get rejected? Why would they reject a product of value? It's not about you. It's about them. It's about the community. You started it to improve the community. It ain't personal, but because you started it for personal reasons, it's near and dear to you. It's my baby. It's my baby, Jen. I started this as my baby. This is my passion, right? And what if they don't like it? What if they reject it? I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say about it, Jen. I don't know what to say. I'm thinking, how do you not know what to say about your product? How is it that you don't know what to say? And it hit me. I thought, oh, they didn't start it with product in mind, with result in mind. They didn't start this business to share value to the people who are not in it. Every business has to do this. Every business, any business has to share value for the exchange, for the trade. You want them to give money for what? You want them to give money for your idea? You want them to give money for your passion? You want them to give their money for your baby? But what's in it for them? What's in it for the donor? What's in it for the funder? What's in it for the business? What's in it for the supporter? What's in it for the grant funder? Your business? Your idea? No, it's the result they are contributing to. They are supporting result that benefits that they can see, that they can understand, that they can connect to as important. They give their money because it's important to them. Your result is important to them, the donor, the funder, the partner, the supporter. They can say, yes, that's important to the community. Yes, I can see how that need being met in the community is relevant. Yes, I support that. Here's my contribution. Here's my donation, because they can align with and see the value of your result. But because you did not start with result in mind, you started with my idea. This is what I want to do. This is what happened to me. This is where I started because of what happened to me. Am I right or no? Am I right or no? Okay. This is what it sounds like. In the Nonprofit Startup Guide, I talk about what is the definition of mission. What is the definition of the purpose of your organization? If you all understood how to talk about your purpose, if you understood how to talk about the mission of your organization, you can start raising money. Guarantee. Guarantee. Did you hear what I said? Guarantee. Guarantee. This is what it sounds like. This is what it sounds like. Now, this right here is in my Nonprofit Startup Guide on page 9. Okay, on page 9. Now, I created this guide so that all you got to do is put your information in here. Okay, it's very easy. It's very easy of how to convert this language to any language. Okay, I've worked for thousands of nonprofits. That was my job. My job was to help 1,000 organizations raise money. That was my job, my job, my full-time job. Okay, that is why I'm known as the nonprofit expert. When I wrote this with you in mind, so that all you have to do is change the words. Okay, this is what it sounds like. When you are out in a meeting, when you are having conversations, when you are in a networking situation, what are you saying? This is what you say. Hello, my name is, I'm the executive director of. The purpose of our organization is to provide support and assistance to homeless veterans, empowering them to rebuild their lives with dignity and respect. That's the purpose of our organization. Our mission, the mission of our organization, is to address their unique needs of homelessness by offering shelter, counseling, job training, and access to essential services. Through our comprehensive approach, we strive to help veterans transition from homelessness to stable, independent living. Our mission is to move them from homelessness to stable, independent living. That's our mission. That's our result. Put result in the chat. The result of what we do is moving people from homelessness to stable, independent living. That's our mission. We're clear about the result. But for many of you who started with, Jen, I started my nonprofit because I went through this and I want to make sure that nobody else goes through that. Jen, I started my nonprofit because sports was important to me. Jen, I started my nonprofit because I want to help single moms because I was a single mom. Jen, I started my nonprofit. Your reason for starting was not result driven, product driven, value to the community driven. It was created personally for a self-centered reason. Am I right? Are y'all picking up what I'm putting down? And as a result, you're not comfortable, you're not clear, you don't know what to say about your product, about your business to the people who are not in it. You can talk about the activities of what you do, but they don't fund activities. They fund the result. In this example, what are the activities? The activities are offering shelter, that's activity. Counseling, that's activity. Job training, that's activity. Essential services, that's activity. Now, you all pick one. Jen, I want to mentor. Jen, I want to do sports. Jen, I want to help them understand this. Jen, I want to train them on finances. Those are all activities. But what's the result of those activities? In this example, after all of our activities, this is the result. The result is they have moved from homelessness to stable, independent living. That's the result. That's the result of all these activities. That's the outcome that benefits the community. Now, these individuals are not sleeping in doorways of businesses, impeding the path of customers or clients coming in and out of business. No longer are these individuals littering our parks and causing us not to be feeling safe as we're walking the streets. We are now taking them from the streets into stable, independent living. And this result impacts, improves, this outcome benefits the community. So now businesses are like, yeah, that's important because these people with these cardboard boxes and these tents, and now my business is declining because people don't feel comfortable coming downtown to shop and to patronize our business. Yes, we want this all worked out. Yes, go ahead and work that out. Here's my contribution and my support so that you can continue to work that out. You see how your mission, your result impacts others in your community, right? Now we've got these people who are getting off of social services. It's improving our where our tax dollars go. There is a result and a benefit of what we do. Our trade is result. Our trade is the community. Our trade is not our passion. Our business is not our idea. No, it is the result. And I am convinced that many of you right now are like, Jen, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say, Jen. I don't know what to say to the donor. What if you're sharing your reason? You're sharing. Our organization is in the business of addressing the unique needs of the homeless individuals. After our program is finished, when they leave our program, they are in stable house. That's our business. We know what their needs are. Our program provides the resources, the information that is going to address their need. And when they leave our program, their need has been met. And that benefits the community. Our product is result. Are y'all picking up what I'm putting down? Our product is result. So I have a question here. How can a church, being a nonprofit, obtain more resources to help community with food, drug counseling? Now, those right there are activities, right? So the activities are, now listen, I know y'all want to do food pantries. I know y'all want to do food pantries. I know y'all want to do drug counseling. I know y'all want to do housing resources. Those are activities. What is the result of what you're going to do? After you have fed, after you have done counseling, after you have done housing resources, what is going to be the result? Housing or providing transitional housing, those are activities. Providing food, those are activities. How you doing, Keith? Right? Those are activities. What are the result of those activities? That's what I want you guys to understand. You are confused behind activity and result. Activity and result. Result is tangible. Result is an outcome. Result can be shown and proven. This is what it looks like. Transition from homelessness to stable, independent living. That's the result. Now, what are the activities that led to that result? What are the activities that led to that result? The activities are job training, transitional or temporary housing, right? Essential services, possibly mental health. After they've done all the things that they needed through these activities, this is the result. They now are in independent, safe, stable housing. That's the result of these activities. I need y'all to know the difference between activities and result. Activity is not result. And because you're not talking about the result of what you do, your donors and your funders fund result, not activities, right? If they made a donation, and you said, this donation and this contribution fed how many people? How many people did it feed? What is the result? We are in the business of feeding how many people? For how long? How long are we going to feed them? Are we in any way positioning them, equipping them to become self-sufficient so that they can feed themselves? Or are we just going to feed them forever? Like, how long are we going to feed them? What change has come from feeding? Nothing wrong with feeding. I'm not saying anything's wrong with feeding. But are we equipping? Are we positioning? Are we preparing them to be able to feed themselves? What other services come with feeding? Or are we just handing out food? Because they'll come back for more food. And let me be clear. I worked at the Los Angeles Mission, in the homeless Mecca. So I know food is not their issue. Food is not a problem. They are not hungry. They're not hungry. They eat. Nothing wrong with giving food. I'm not saying that. But have we met their need? We fed them. That's wonderful. But they'll be right back tomorrow. They'll be right back the next day. They'll be not 6 months from now. How did they change? What was the result of feeding? Nothing wrong with feeding. Nothing wrong with feeding. But what is the result? Am I making sense? Listen, our business is not activities. Our business is not activities. We are in the business of result. We are in the business of outcome. And this is why out of 100 nonprofits, out of 100 nonprofits, 87 don't have funding. 87 are struggling. Why? Because you don't know your result. Your donors, your funders, your partners, your contributors, they fund result. They're going to keep funding. Why? Because you keep showing result, not more activities. They are in it for the result. In my nonprofit startup guide, which is only $99, with it comes everything you need to know about the nonprofit. It's the only one of its kind. And it comes with a 2-hour and 17-minute video on how do you start your nonprofit to generate revenue for your product. Many of you are starting your nonprofit organizations, right? You done gone down there, you done got that 1023 form filled out. Now I'm stuck. Jen, I got my nonprofit, but I don't know what to do next. Jen, I got my nonprofit started, but I'm not raising any money. I'm funding everything out of my own pocket. Jen, I started my nonprofit, but I don't have any donors. I don't have any supporters. And I'm thinking, how is that possible? You've got a product, or do you? Do you have a product? What is the purpose of your business? Is the purpose of your business what you want to do? Is the purpose of your business your passion, your interest, your idea that doesn't benefit or bring a result to the community? We are community facing, community focused, community based businesses. That's our business, is community. And the people that are in what we do are not our donors, are not our funders, are not our contributors. Our donors, our funders, our contributors see the benefit, see the value, see the result in what we do. And that's why they contribute. The grant funder is not giving you a grant because you got a piece of paper that says you are recognized as a not-for-profit. No, they are giving their dollars. They are investing in result. They are investing in your business's ability to produce result. That's what they're investing in. They're not investing in you because you've got a piece of paper that says, I am now designated as a not-for-profit business. That's not why they're giving the money. That's not why. I'm going to stop right here because I don't want to overwhelm you. Listen, as your nonprofit expert, for many of you who are struggling to generate support for your business, I submit it's because, one, you're running it like it's your passion project and not a business. That you're not clear about the trade. You're not aware of what's involved in the business. You know what you want to do. I want to feed. I want to clothe. I want to house. You know what you want to do. But the activity of what you do is not what draws the interest of those that would be supporting it. It's the result of what you do. And that's where the confusion is. Activity and result. Activity is not result. Activity is not result. You should be able to articulate this is the result of what we do. And it's provable, right? That's where a program evaluation comes in. That's where your goals, understanding this is what we need to do to get to result. Now you're able to clarify, you're able to articulate, you're able to share. These are our goals. We know what we're doing. We're clear about what we're doing. We understand the business. We understand goals. We understand objectives. We understand proof of evaluation. We understand our business. Many of you understand your passion. Many of you understand what you want to do. Many of you understand who you want to serve. But that's not why you start a business. You start a business because you know the product. You know the value to the people who are not in it. The reason that you started a business, a trade, is to provide value to the customer, the people who are not in what you do. Your participants are not the funders. They're not your donors. They're not your contributors. These are the people that through which you show your program works. Your result is proof that your program works, that your product works, right? The result that when they leave your program, problem solved, that is proof that your product works, not the activities of what you do. At the end of all those activities, what's the result? What was changed? What need was met? If you can't answer that, how can you prove? How can you market? How can you educate? How can you inspire those that are not in it to support it? I don't know if I'm making any sense or not. I don't know if I'm making any sense or not. But this is the business, y'all. It's a competitive business. That when your donors and your funders have to make a choice of who are they going to give their dollars to, they're going to give their dollars to those organizations that can show proof of result, not passion for activities. Your value, Your product is result. Your donors and your funders are thinking, which organization is producing the greatest result for my investment? Because again, your donors and your funders are not in it. They're not the ones you're serving. So what's the trade? What's the exchange? That if they give you their money, if they give you their investment, and all you do with it is say, we did these activities, we did these activities, we did these activities, did these activities with no result, why would they keep giving? Why would they keep donating? Why would they keep contributing if there's no return on those investments? What's the return on their investment? What's the return on their contribution? Result. Result. This is what your contribution produced. Result. This is the product. Result. This is the need met. Result. That result is what's going to spur them, encourage them, incline them, incentivize them, clarify for them that their investment was a good one, that their investment was the right investment, not activities, not passion, not because of what you want to do, not your idea. You're giving back to them result. You're saying, listen, your partnership, your contribution into our organization, this is the result that we have been able to create and produce as a result of your contribution. You've got 8 streams of revenue, eight streams of revenue. Every one of those streams of revenue, give and continue to give because of their clarity around result. They are spurred by, they're incentivized by, they are clear about how their dollars are spent through the result you give back to them. Through your donation and your contribution, we've been able to house 100 veterans. With your ongoing support, we'll be able to provide more housing, more affordable housing options. This is proof that what you supported and gave to worked. This is the result. We've been able to house 100 veterans. That's result. Through our housing program, through our counseling, through our job training, this is the result. That's how we raise money. We talk about our product. We talk about our value. That's how we raise money. And that is why I am convinced that you are not raising money because you don't know your product. You didn't start it with result in mind. You started it because of passion. You started because of an idea. You started because of the activities that you want to do. But funders fund result. They don't fund activity. I'm telling you. Are there any questions? Those of you guys who were on the Tubies, please put your questions in the comments. For those of you who are on the TikTokies, thank you for joining in. For those of you who are on the house, the big CH, thank you for joining. My name is Jennifer. I am your nonprofit expert, over 38 years of experience, helping organizations put together plans, strategies, systems, and tools so that you understand the business, that you understand your product, that you're able to speak about, that you're able to clarify, that you're able to communicate, that you're able to market, that you're able to brand your product. That's how businesses raise money. That's how businesses generate money. Grants are great, but grants are not going to fund 100% of your expenses. Grants are not going to fund 100% of your expenses. Why? You have other streams of revenue. You get the grant and then you spend the grant, all right? Because why? They're real expenses. But you've got to have ongoing revenue coming in while you're waiting on the grant, right? The grant funder may take 2 months, 4 months, 6 months more. Why? Because there are more organizations seeking grant dollars than there are those giving grant dollars. Then there are those foundations, agencies, right? Giving grant dollars. There are more organizations seeking grant dollars. So that means what? Not everybody's going to get that grant. That's okay. You've got 7 other streams of revenue. You have to have streams of revenue for your business to be able to operate. Who is it that supports the business? The people that value your product, the donor, the support, the funder, those that attend the events, right? Those that give in kind, the grant funder, the product, the program fees, the products and services, the partnerships and collaborations. Those are 8 streams of revenue. All of them are encouraged by, interested in your product, your result. We are in the business of result. We are not in the business of passion. And I'm convinced that many of you are not raising money right now because you don't know your product. And who else doesn't know your product? If you don't know your product, who else doesn't know your product? Your board. Your board can't speak to what you do and why what you do. Your board can't talk about, communicate, articulate, and help you raise money. Why? Because they don't know what the product is. They know you're passionate. They want to support your passion. They like you. They join the board because they're friends with you, right? You got your mother, your brother, your dog, your cat, your fish, but they don't know the product. They don't know how to market the product. They don't know how to communicate about the importance and the result of this work, which means what? Nobody is saying anything. We're not marketing anything. We're not sharing our product. And that's why you don't have any money. Money is not your problem. Money's a fruit. At the root of why there is no money, I don't have a plan to raise any money. I don't know how to articulate our product. I don't know what to say, Jen. I don't know if they ask me a question, will I be able to answer it? And that's why, because you don't know your product. And number 3, when I started my nonprofit, when I filed for my nonprofit, I did not prioritize generating revenue. I started it because of my passion to do this activity. I started it because of what happened to me and I want to help other people. I started it because of these activities that I wanted to do. And that all is an expense. But I didn't prioritize generating money. How do we raise money? Our product. We are in the business of result. It does not matter what your mission is. It does not matter what audience you serve. You're in the business of result. You're in the business of result. That's not personal. There's no fear and rejection in result. We come to the table. We come to the conversations with businesses, with individuals, with donors, with contributors. We come to the table with result. We come to the table with solution. We come to the table with something. We're not coming to the table to beg. We're not coming to the table to only take. No, we are givers. We're giving result. We're giving outcome. We're giving solution. We're coming to the table with value. All right. I want to thank you guys for joining today. My name is Jennifer Yarbrough. I am a nonprofit expert. I worked in the nonprofit field for over 30 years. I started my business in 2005 to help organizations really understand the business. And unfortunately, many of you all invested in the program side of the business, your passion side of the business, but you didn't invest in the product knowledge. You didn't invest in learning about the business, about how to run the business, about how to fund the business, about how to grow the business financially. You started the business without knowing your product. You started the business funding everything out of your own pocket. Why? Because you don't know your product. You don't know how to articulate your product. Your best investment is knowing the business. You invested in that website. You're welcome, Jen. You invested in that website. You invested in those program activities, but you didn't invest in knowing how to articulate, how to show, how to market, how to brand your product. That's what generates revenue. The activities that you started, you're funding it by yourself. Why? Because you're not marketing the value of it. You didn't start it with that reason. Look up the definition of reason. Was it a self-centered reason or was it a solution reason? If it was a solution reason, then why aren't we marketing that? We're a solution. Why are we not talking about that? The problem that we're solving, the needs that we're addressing. I'm convinced you started because of your idea and what you wanted to do. I'm all right with that. But you need to get to the bottom of what is the result of what we're doing. That's your product, the result of what you're doing. Okay? For those of you who are following me here on the Tubies, please like, please subscribe, please comment. I hope that this information has been helpful to you. For those of you who are over on Clubhouse, thank you for joining. For those of you who are on the Tiki-Takis, thank you for tuning in as well. I hope that this information has been helpful. I hope that it has been clarifying. I hope that it has been informative to you. Okay? My name is Jennifer Yarbrough. I am your nonprofit expert. I help organizations grow. I help them to grow financially. I help them to grow in the area of revenue generating opportunities. And my nonprofit startup guide is your handbook of the business. It's only $99. And with it comes a 2-hour and 17-minute video on how do you start this business to generate revenue. Money is not your problem. Many of you started without prioritizing where does money come from. I'm not talking about profit. I'm talking about what it costs to operate and what it's going to cost to grow your business. All right. Thank you all for joining. I appreciate you very, very much for tuning in, and I will see you all next time.